Oslo for the main part. We have Rosa Hernandez. She's gonna talk about game and play. So give her a warm round of applause.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. My name is Rosa Hernandez and I'm from Mexico and have been living in Oslo for the last few years. I'm a multidisciplinary designer, which is a fancy way of saying that I like working with different media and different tools and processes. But something that has been a constant in my practice for the last few years is creating magic moments, or creating the rules and environments for these moments to happen in the form of interactive installations in the real world. So I've been working with these interactive installations in physical space and making games and game-like installations where there's been an element of play. So I want to show you first a couple of videos from projects I've been lead designer and creative director for at my previous workplace, Expology. And I've been very lucky to work with a great team of interior designers, creative technologists, developers. It takes a team to make this type of experiences. And the first project is an interactive role-play game about personal autonomy for young people. And the second project is an interactive exhibition about the Northern Lights.
Vi har alle drømmer vi ønsker å oppnå.
Vi i Nordea synes det veldig viktig at de unge lærer seg hvordan de skal styre privatøkonomien sin på best mulig måte. Og derfor har vi laget et spill som gjør det både morsomt og enkelt å lære de unge hvordan de skal få mest mulig ut av pengene sine.
Ganske interessant, lærerikt.
Ja, det var ganske sånn up to date.
Ja, sosialt også.
Det håper vi skal lære de unge å styre privatøkonomien sin på en god måte, lære dem å se verdien av å spare, og ikke minst få mest mulig ut av de pengene som de får inn, sånn at de ikke går i økonomiske fallgruvene som lurer deg ute.
Følg drømmen. Ta kontroll.
The next one is the interactive exhibition about the Northern Lights in Alta. Yes, so these interactive experiences in physical spaces make the visitors be in the moment and experience a sort of magic moment. And magic is an illusion, and both illusion and delusion come from the Latin root ludere, which means to play. Games can produce a wide range of experiences: anxiety and release, wonder, knowledge. They can be pure abstractions, or they can have the richest possible representation techniques like 3D rendering. Games can be collaborative, they can be open-ended, and they can also address very profound themes, but they are always responsive to the actions of people, so they're by nature interactive. And in the context of games, the focus of the game designer is to design gameplay, conceiving and designing the rules and the structures that result in the experience for the players. So in the work that I do, in addition to the concept and the graphic and the visual elements or the visualizations when you're selling it to the client, or later on production, it's more about designing the whole experience or the gameplay in these installations. So also as a designer, the question emerges how to create engaging interactive experiences through games or play. We can start by looking at it from of games as a social experience, because play is part of what makes us human. And take a look at this painting. It's called Children's Games, and it's from 1560. And here we can see children playing everything from ride horses or mock tournaments, and there's bowling, there's playing with dolls, even playing with very rudimentary water guns, and there's like a piñata somewhere there, which is kind of crazy since it's like 1560. But what's interesting here is that all of these children have a very an expression that is adult-like, because they're very absorbed in what they're doing. They're really in the moment. So people have played games throughout the ages, from these games that I just showed you in the 16th century, to card games, board games, chess, sports, child games, playground games when we were kids, or even the games we play when we're growing up, or the games we play as adults in real life. So games are part of the human experience. And whether analog or digital, games are also shaped by culture and technology. With the rise of computer power, we have video games for arcades, for gaming consoles, single shooting, multiplayer, commercial games, independent games, games for the web, social media, augmented reality, virtual reality. Like now, the playground is vast. But I want to go back to one of the most iconic games in contemporary Western culture, which is Pong. Why is it so good? Well, I think it's because of the feelings it evokes, which is a focus on flow, and it is simple to play. Every game is unique. It's a very elegant representation of table tennis, and it's social. So games like this, they're something that was revolutionary at the time, because they turned the interactivity of just passively looking at the TV screen into something that they could use, transforming it from a media image to something they could play with. And I even tried my own take on Pong, making an augmented reality application in which your hand could be one of the paddles. And I think it is so engaging because of this flow. And this intense sense of engagement invited me to explore play in my process a bit further. So, game versus play. Sometimes we use these words interchangeably, but I think that as a designer, it is useful to distinguish the two, because in a certain project, you might need to approach something in a more game-like situation. Or for other installations or projects, maybe it's better to approach it from a more playful place, doing something more explorative. So game is a system in which players or participants engage in an artificial conflict, and it has always rules, and it comes out in a quantifiable outcome. Whereas play is more of an expression of that system. And it's using this space of possibility that is created from the system structure. So a game is goal-oriented, and it's more of a system, whereas play is more exploratory. It's the how you do it. Play focuses not on the outcome, but on play itself. And there are no winners or losers, because there is no target, there's no goal, so it is more explorative. While I was working with these methodologies, I also saw that play has many phases. One of them is role play, which is to act as if and test things out and try out our behavior in different situations, whether as kids or adults. And here is one of my favorite examples of role play.
Box Wars really feels like a medieval battle. The only difference is it's with cardboard. There's rules to Box Wars, but they're very limited. There's no winners. We like to say that if you're in a Box Wars, you've already lost.
So I think that role play is something that's very powerful. I've held workshops on play where that is one of the key elements, and it is an important part of my process too, because I believe that if it's not fun with cardboard and paper, just throwing technology at something, it's not going to make it more engaging or easier. And there's also constructive play, which is just building stuff, testing materials and exploring different configurations. And that's how we get ideas, by exploring, by teasing out the material, by doing. And constructive play is fundamental in prototyping. And here's a very early prototype of that Sing to the Northern Lights installation that I showed you in the video earlier in this talk. And I discovered that with prototyping, you can tease out the core mechanics of the game or of the installation, have a sense of how it feels more than how it necessarily looks, and even begin to address challenges in the projects very early on, which is very important in production. There's also divergent play, trying to come up with as many options as possible, or convergent play, which is like focusing on a specific problem and trying to solve just that. And one of my favorite, which is exploratory play, where you're just messing around and exploring something new, and then you allow yourself to make mistakes. It's just about teasing out the materials, like movement, for instance. And here is another example of a very explorative installation from a few years back. secret for creating meaningful play? I think it's participation, and it's essential in both games and interactive installations. And I think as designers, treating people with concern and care at every stage of the game or of the flow in an installation is important to create this meaningful play and for them to engage in the activity at hand. Meaningful play happens when we keep a surprise element, whether through micro interactions or certain actions in a game or elements in the experience that create enchantment and a certain sense of wonder. So why use games and play? Well, as the previous examples have shown, and what I've also discovered in my own process, is that fun can change behavior for the better, and it brings the extraordinary out of the everyday, and we can gain new perspectives from the world around us. And whether making interactive installations or games, I think in the end it's about the relationship between people, the relationship between you and the other player, or the other person through a game or an installation. And this is a game called Fingal, made by game developer Adrian de Jong, and this game addresses these relationships and boundaries. The gameplay here focuses on coming close to the other player and together working things out, teasing out movement and personal space. He was interviewed by game journalist Cara Ellison, and here's a piece of the interview. What platform will your most amazing game be on? I asked, grinning. This is going to sound really cheesy, he says. Say it, real life, Adrian says. He smiles. We laugh pretty hard at this. In the end, any game happens in your mind, even for this stupid device. And he picks up an iPhone. It all happens in your mind. That fact, that's going to help me remind me what it's all about. And before I finish the talk, I just want to give a shout out to people working with games, especially women designers and developers like Caroline Sanders, Cara Ellison, Heather Kelly, Nina Freeman, and Phoenix Perry, who runs the Code Liberation Foundation, facilitating the creation of digital games by women, non-binary, femme, and girl-identifying people to diversify STEM fields. So please check it out. I want to end this talk with a quote, which refers to game designers, but I think it applies to anyone in a creative field. Game designers have the supreme pleasure of creating their own rabbit holes, hoping players find their way down inside in order to create their own meanings. Game designers are the architects, the meaning makers, the storytellers that make the play of Wonderland possible.